Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to a special Friday edition of the Red River Roundup here on 446 Sports, presented as always by the Gridiron All-America football game. And we'll be with you, of course, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We'll be live, but had so many good games around the state last night that really had a lot of playoff implications as these power ratings start to come out and as these power ratings start to really kind of mean something and give you an accurate picture of where we stand, both non-select and select. So had a lot of games that we were able to cover last night. I was at Union and North Caddo. Union's up back to 500, and they were a semifinal team last year. So a lot of good games around the state. We're going to try to get those scores for you. We'll talk a little bit more about them on Saturday morning. And then we also are going to have an interview with the head coach of the Loyola College Prep Flyers. They're off to a 6-0 start. Their head coach, Sella, is going to join us and talk about their hot start to this season over there in the Shreveport area. So get you caught up on a few scores. Start off in the northeast part of the state. Haynesville, they're still undefeated, number one ranked team in 1A. They're 43-0 winners over Jonesboro Hodge. Ouachita Christian 49-6 over Delhi Charter. Again, they're up at the top of that 2A poll. They'll be probably a factor in Division IV select as we get on through. And I mentioned Union won 46-16 over North Caddo. Peeking at Cenlaw real quick, Tioga 59-36 over Wassman. Indians off to a big start. That's a district game for them, and they put up 59. Case Malone, I think, had 5 touchdowns. They've got a tech commit on the outside at wide receiver and a top 10 running back in the state right now. So the Indians, they continue their good play under first-year head coach Dan Chrisman. You saw that game last night on 446. Be sure to check it out. They've got some highlights of that win over the Wildcats last night. Hamilton Christian, they stay undefeated. They win 55-13 over Grand Lake. Southside Sharks and Jess Curtis, they get another big win, 52-28 over Sam Houston. Notre Dame, they're at the top of that poll as well, 35-7 winners over Lake Arthur. Karen Crow, 63-7 over Lafayette. Shannon Bent had some great coverage of that game. Chance Babineau continues to do his thing down in Lafayette. And in the Baton Rouge area, Catholic High, they got a win 38-16 over Liberty. Jewel Sumner, they stay undefeated, the number one ranked team in 3A, a 49-6 win over Springfield. And in the northwest part of the area of the state last night, Edna Carr down in New Orleans, they got a win over Brother Martin, 48-13. Rummel 28, Warren Easton 14, and Belle Chase, they get another shutout. Belle Chase 45-0 over the Willow School. Riverdale, they're off to a good start again, 14-7 over John Ehret. Shreveport Bossier was probably where some of the best games in the state took place last night. Airline and Parkway face off to open up District 1 5A play. Parkway gets a score in the final 2 minutes, I think, of that game. Caleb Williams had 4 touchdowns. They get a win 48-13 over Airline. Benton and Mackay Ziegler get back in the win column, 48-40 over Houghton. Huntington 34, Byrd 28. Northwood of Shreveport wins 48-8 over Booker T. Washington. And the Flyers of Loyola College Prep, they get a big win over the Bossier Bearcats, 56-26. And we're going to bring on the head coach of the Flyers, Sella. And Coach, you've had a couple Thursday games this season, and y'all traveled a lot down I-20 and have made really kind of a big active part of your non-district. So a Thursday night opener to start district play. Tell us how it went.
Yeah, it went well. When you score 56 offensively, you got to feel good about that. And as a offensive guy, I was proud of the way the offense is rolling right now. I think we're at 58 points per game right now, and it's not against bad competition or bad defenses. And so we've kind of got that rolling. And defensively, it was just number 13, the quarterback for Bossier, is just really good. I talked about it after the game that a lot of our defensive guys were upset or frustrated or didn't feel like they played well in giving up 26. But it was just their quarterback was impressive. We drop into coverage and everything is covered perfectly. Everybody gets to their drop zones, and then he would take off and he was just open field. And so It was tough. And then he was elusive and made people miss and never stopped his feet. And so I wasn't upset with how our defense played. I did think we played well. It was just number 13 for Bozier was just really good.
Your quarterback, Bryce Restovich, he's gotten a ton of attention and he deserves all of it. He's off to a really good start, was kind of an all-state type player even coming into this season. But I'm interested in your relationship with him. You've been with this program for a long time, and I'm curious, how do y'all go back to, and what is y'all's relationship that's brought it to where y'all are both where you are today? Because I mean, to me, it's interesting about Shreveport. Just as long as I can remember, it's just loaded with good quarterbacks, and they have choices of where those families want to be, and it's really interesting to see how programs and families end up together. So, what's been y'all's relationship, and what's been your involvement in his development?
Yeah. He's had a good year. He's been in the program now 3 years, and he started 4 games, I believe, as a freshman. And you could see right away that he had talent. We heard about him before, but being able to see it as a freshman was pretty impressive. And so we've kind of built from there. So he's very comfortable in what we do. We hadn't changed a whole lot in our offense, and so he's very confident in what we're doing offensively. And his dad played quarterback in high school and was a good quarterback, and so he understands the leadership part of that and the lead and how to lead a team. And me and Bryce are honestly a lot alike in that people might on the outside might say we're being quiet, but it's not that. We understand each other. We're brief when we need to, and we're on the same page. Definitely this year we are. And some of it's even nonverbal. Like if it's something on the sidelines that I see, I can give him something during a game, and he understands what I'm talking about. I'm not yelling out to him. He kind of understands what I'm signaling to him, or just a facial expression. And just spending so much time together in the summer and throughout the year, we kind of we're definitely on the same wavelength, and we've got it rolling right now.
Obviously, like I mentioned, he's gotten a lot of the attention, and they've got there's a lot of talent on that side of the ball too, with Jake Black and some other players. But other than Bryce, who's, like I said, who deserves a lot of the recognition that he's gotten, who else on that team is making y'all go the way that you're going right now?
Well, a lot of the stuff we're doing this year and being able to that we tried last year and just didn't have a ton of success, we scrapped it. We've tried it again this year, and it doesn't work unless you can protect. Coach Jeter helps me on offense a ton, and he was talking about, he's like, if we can protect, we could be really good. And so far, the offensive line has been incredible, and just keeping him clean to where he can feel safe and confident back there and complete some of the passes. And our receivers have made a lot of good plays for him, but just him having the time back there to make decisions and be on time and on target has been huge. And then, a lot of the stuff we do, we don't have success with unless you have a running game. And so our senior running back, Mason Drake, has been really good for us this year. And, we knew he would be pretty good. He rushed for, I think, 1,300 yards last year and 17 touchdowns, and just has great vision and balance. And so being able to complement the passing game with some of our weapons out there with Mason in the backfield has been huge. And again, the offensive line. And then Brock Jeter is another outside receiver that's, made a jump this summer and is, caught everything that's come his way. And then we weren't sure what we were going to have otherwise with the receiver, because Charlie McKenzie, who's been huge this year, has just blown up. Broke his foot last year as a freshman and didn't get to play all year. So he's just a sophomore, and he's been huge. And then Ty Walsworth is the other slot receiver, is just a sophomore, but he had to sit out all last year as a transfer. And so they're both getting like their first varsity action, and both have never blinked and don't seem nervous out there. And so that's been huge for us too.
You mentioned some of these coaches, Coach Jeter. I know that you were mentored by Coach Mike Green for several years there. You spoke with Jimmy Watson over the summer and talked about last year, your first year, that senior buy-in being incredibly important because, I mean, really, your first year as a head coach, you lean so much on those seniors just to kind of help steady things the way that you need to as you kind of learn the ropes in the head spot. What I've heard about your program since you've taken over from all over the state, and like I said, y'all travel a lot. Y'all are over in Ruston, y'all over in Monroe frequently on road games. People always come back and talk about this team as disciplined, well coached, block and tackling, kind of your favorite coach's favorite team. So you've, like I said, you've been mentored by a lot of great people within this program, and you got a ton of alum on your staff. But what has been the things that those seniors bought in that first year, and the things that the same seniors are buying into this year? What is that coming from you specifically? Like, what has been your individual impact on this program that has welcomed you and brought you to, at least so far, an undefeated season? But again, like, what's been the places where you've made the most impact?
Yeah, and I've always wanted, if I've thought about it, if I was like, if I ever take over as a head coach, I want my team to be disciplined and gritty and, have a chip on their shoulder. And that's kind of been ingrained in Loyola for a long time when they're Jesuit. When people talk about those old teams, they talk about how they're always disciplined, play with, maximum effort and tough. And so, when I got the chance to take over and, that's already kind of ingrained in there of kind of like my vision of what I would want a team to be, that helped out a lot too. And I think, my own personal touch would be that, at the end of the day, people talk about it's just enjoying the grind of football, and that, sometimes it is going to get monotonous and it is going to be tough, and just like working your way through it, and then understanding that we are still playing a game and this is fun, and so adding kind of a fun factor to it, and being a little more laid back, but keeping that discipline. It's been the past couple of years, I've just been blessed with like the two senior groups that are kind of have a similar personality of mine. I don't know. I feel like and that we are having fun, but then we go out on Friday night and have fun, but we're also, disciplined and take care of business to where it's not just chaos out there. And so I don't know, and I think teaching at the school, I taught freshman English for a long time there. And so I knew the kids. And so spending that time in the classroom all summer with them, all throughout the year, and getting to know their personalities, and they get to know me too, and getting to know the coaches. And so, but spending that time with them at school and in the classroom, and building that trust, I think helps out a lot too. Because if they can trust you and they know that you care about them as a person and not just football, I think that goes a long way. And so I think we've built those relationships, and I think that's kind of helped too, and that they trust what I'm saying. I'm not just lying to them or just saying coach stuff. When I say something, they know I mean it, and they believe that.
So you also talked to Jimmy about in year two, hopefully being able to shift to more of a mindset of a head coach and less as an offensive coordinator. How has that gone this year?
It's good. I had to teach myself too of like, all right, if I'm watching film, I can't just watch defense. I need to know what they're doing offensively too. And if I can add my 2 cents in there, I can, I will. But I've also, passed stuff and say, hey, Coach Jeter, can you make a script today? I'm behind on this, and letting him go. And that's been huge to where when he's helping make some of those practice scripts and helping with the game plan, then on Friday nights, he's, had a bunch of ideas throughout the week to where he's throwing those in on Friday nights too, to where it's not just me doing it all by myself. And just, letting the defense go, because I know what kind of game plan he's put together, because I've talked with him, and just letting him go, Coach Lewis, our defense coordinator, and just letting him go and trusting in what he's doing, because I know the work he's put in. And then you see so much more too when you're not just looking at the offense. When you take a step back and you're like, man, I didn't realize these guys were over here on the sidelines just sitting down. Y'all get up. Y'all need to be involved. Y'all need to be working over here, or maybe we can create a different, rotation or drill or whatever that they need to be doing when they're not involved in what we're doing. When I'm not just looking at the offense, you see everything, and you kind of see some holes that you didn't see before. And so I've kind of recognized some of that and, changed up some of the stuff in practice. And I think that's helped too.
Well, and again, in the win column, it seems to work so far this fall off to that 6-0 start. But looking at the schedule the rest of the way, and you don't know how things are going to shake out, even a year or two in advance. It's hard to predict. But, and again, not saying that we know how anything's going to go. Week 9 and week 10, Northwood, North DeSoto. Do you like the way that final 2 weeks stacks up? Do your players like the way that stacks up, or is it something that y'all don't care about either way?
There's pros and cons to it. I told everybody I was hoping when looking at the schedule and talking about the district race that there would be some of the teams like, all right, well maybe they'll be down this year and we can kind of that game won't be that bad. But everybody's up, man. I was hoping people would be down, but Woodlawn's still good, Booker T's still good, so we got to get through that first. And then with week 9 and week 10, it is cool to if we take care of business and hopefully win the next 2. You can say to the kids, all right, now we're playing for a district championship. Like, this is awesome, and so it's something for them to look forward to and like motivate them throughout the year. But then I guess the con would be, those are going to be brutal games and they're going to be, they should be, great challenges. And to have 2 of those back to back is tough, just physically and mentally and emotionally. And then to go into the playoffs right after that, you got to hope that you're not beat up, and you don't know what's going to happen. And so then you got to like transition your brain after whatever happens after those. Now we're in playoff mode. So it's just a lot in a row, like back to back to back. But again, at the same time, it'd be cool to, last week of the season, 2 undefeated teams, or maybe you have 1 loss and just, fighting for a district championship. That's always a good thing.
So, you've been the head coach here for 2 years, offensive coordinator before that, and before that, a successful coach at Captain Tree. But when I knew you, you were part of that media relations department at Louisiana Tech, and we were over in the finance office looking across from y'all in the press box and saying, "Man, I wish we were doing what they were doing." So I'll get you to take the whistle off here for just a second and put on your sports information, your sports media expertise here, and talk to me a little bit about Shreveport Bossier football, because really the brand is, from the outside, is just, it's high scoring, it's offense, it's wide open, it's college commits behind center almost, everywhere at the top of those districts. But, and again, like I mentioned at the beginning, Airline and Viking, that was Airline and Parkway, that was exactly what people would think it would be. But you've been around Shreveport Bossier football, for quite a while now. What would you say just about it overall? I know it's kind of an easy question, but just for people from the outside that kind of look at it as like the Big 12 of when we were in college, what's the brand of Shreveport Bossier football, and like specifically this season, what's it been like halfway through the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of impressive athletes. We got a good quarterback group this year. The juniors this year with Pop and Malachi and Bryce. That's just a good, solid group of quarterbacks. I think the Houghton quarterback is also really good. And just the coaching up here is always really good. Offensively, it's just every team in our district and 5A and everywhere up here has just gotten so good at getting their guys in space, which is what you want. It's not bad defense. It's just tough. Because I know Dylan Jackson, defense coordinator at Parkway, and Parkway has a really good defense. And so I know he does a good job, and I know they're prepared. They're probably one of the best defenses in 5A, and they have trouble stopping people just because, again, I don't know if it's people that are stacking their offensive side or what, but it's just we've gotten so good at somehow figuring out a way to get your guys in space.
So, all right. So how are y'all measuring, or, going back to your program, how are y'all measuring success on defense if the scoreboard isn't always the best indicator? Because I'm there's got to be days that y'all come back and get in the locker room and the defense is feeling great about how they played, even though there might be 38 up there. I mean, how are y'all looking at a good night from that side of the ball, even though there's going to be points scored?
Yeah, and our defense coordinator, Sherrod Lewis, he's kind of a perfectionist, and so anytime we have up any points, he's upset. But I look at it like, man, no. I mean, and sometimes we put them in a bad spot, in that they against Minden. Minden puts a 10-play drive to get plus drive together, and then we come out and score in 2 plays. Like I'm not going to try to stop scoring, and it's kind of just what our brand is this year, and that's tough on a defense, and he doesn't see it that way because he wants to stop every single time, and I get that and I love that. But that's tough to go right back out there and have to get a stop. And the offenses are good. Like if I see a good player out there, like Bozier's quarterback, I mean, we had him in the backfield pinned up with 2 of our best defenders, and he shakes both of them and takes off. It's just, are we dropping to the right spots? Are we arm tackling, or are we are we taking good angles and things like that? Or did the guy just make a great play? It's kind of how I'm looking at it. In plays like what Bozier was doing with us, is out in open field, just scrambling. I mean, you just got to make a play, and he made better plays than us. And most of their touchdowns, if not all, were kind of broken plays that he made something happen. And so, all right, did we know the game plan? Were we dropping to the right spots? Were we taking good angles? Were we playing with effort and toughness and discipline? Okay, he just made a good play then.
So for the Flyers, is it rinse and repeat from here on out, or is there anything where you want to see a lot of improvement?
No, I mean, we just gotta stay healthy. That's just huge for us. We don't have tons of depth. This summer was big for us in creating some depth, and that there were some juniors that are now seniors over the summer made a huge jump into where we were able to not play as many guys on both sides of the football, which in 4A is huge for us to try to compete with some of these teams that are bigger than us, because we're just a small 3A school that's playing up.
Yeah, quite a jump from 2A to 4A. Yeah.
And so being able to create some depth has been good. And so if we can keep that and stay healthy, that's big for us. And then not getting complacent. It's very easy. I don't know when the last time we were 6-0. So it's very easy for these guys to get excited about that. And, people want to interview you more and, take your pictures and, get awards and stuff like that and recognize you. How do we handle that? We talk all the time as coaches, like, how do you handle adversity? Well, now I'm having to tell them, like, how do we handle, being undefeated? Because it's like a different feeling. And so not getting complacent and not just showing up to practice or thinking we're just going to win a game, and showing up and actually competing.
Well, again, go up against Woodlawn next week, Booker T. Washington in week 8, and then go to North DeSoto and finish it off at home against Northwood in week 10. Coach Sella, we thank you so much, man, for your time today. I enjoyed getting to catch up with you and learn more about y'all's program. It seems to be y'all have caught people's attention all around the state, not just for the wins, but the way y'all are playing and the way that you carry yourselves once y'all get off the bus. So good luck to y'all the rest of the way. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
No, thank you for reaching out and reconnecting with me, man.
Yeah, man. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot to head coach John Sella. Got the Flyers rolling, and they will be a factor there in 4A in the select division once the playoffs get started. But for now, they've got some big games coming up, and we'll be keeping an eye on them as they continue to rack up points over there in Shreveport-Bossier. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. Going to go ahead and get out of here. Have fun under Friday night lights tonight, and we will see you tomorrow morning on the Red River Roundup right here on 446 Sports.